Let us close the eyes for a moment. Remembering God and Masters. Let us chant a prayer together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May we enjoy food together. May we pray and meditate together. May we attain wisdom through our study and discussion. May there be no conflict among us. May there be peace everywhere. We cannot go deeper into the mystery of this creation. Among all different mysteries, death is also a mystery for human beings. Many people get scared listening the word death. Is death really so dreadful? What happens before, during, and after the death? Where do we go after death? All these questions bother us. Therefore, we will try to understand and find answers to these questions in this series of talks. God has given us desires, and one of the basic desire is to live. To live a long, eternal, and happy life. The day we have chosen birth, we have also chosen the death, because both are two shores of river of life. Ordinarily, death is very scary word for people because they have heard it is miserable and a feeling of sadness overpowers our mind. Everybody wants to live eternally, and the thought of leaving this body is very painful due to strong attachment to the body and this perishable world. We cannot avoid death. It is inevitable, but we can make it pleasant. Very often we see people live together happily, and suddenly a person disappears from our life, leaving behind a void. I remember in my 7th grade of school, there was a story of little boy. His name was Shamu. You can imagine age of 6-7 years old. One day, this little boy Shamu, he got up and he saw that there was chaos in his house. His mother Uma, she was lying on the floor and covered with a blanket and a white sheet. And everybody in the house surrounding her were weeping, crying loudly. When he saw, he was sad, but he didn't know what was happening. So when people were taking his mother Uma to cremation ground, then Shamu created havoc. He fell down on the body of his mother and he told the people, "My mother is sleeping. Where are you taking her? I will not let you take her anywhere." It was very difficult for the people to move him. Being a little boy, he couldn't go even to the cremation ground, and one maid servant took care of him at home. Although the wise people or elderly people told him that his mother had gone to his maternal uncle's house, but this lie couldn't remain for long. From the surrounding people or the boys of his own age, he came to know that his mother has left the body. And for the little boy, this was not like a death. They used to say that your mother has gone to the abode of God. So this little boy Shamu, he was crying for many days. Slowly he became little calm, but he was still sad and sorrowful. Just like after the heavy rain, you can see water on the surface, but slowly it settles down. But despite that, the humidity remains. So also the sorrowful nature or sadness was inside his heart. And very often he was sitting alone and looking at the sky in the space. One day he was sitting like this and he saw a kite in the sky. In India, we fly the kites with a long thread, and we make nice kites with the paper. So there is a festival also in the month of January. On that day, we call it Makar Sankranti, when the sun enters the zodiac sign Capricorn. So he saw this flying kite. Suddenly he became happy looking at this kite, and he went to his father Vishweshwar and he told, "Dad, can you get me a kite?" Now his father was a little bit upset because of the untimely death of his wife. So he just ignored him and said, "Okay, I will look at that. I'll see to it." And he left. But this little boy was very much eager to get the kite. So he could not stop himself, and when his father was not at home, he saw the shirt of his father on the hanger. So he went, he took a chair, stood up on the chair, and he was searching for the pockets. And he found some coins in India. In those days, it was like 25 cents or paisa. So he took that and ran away. Then he went to his friend. His friend was Bhola. He was of the same age. He gave this money, 25 cents, to Bhola and told that, "Can you get me a kite and long thread to fly it? And look, bring it in private so nobody could know." Now, kite came, and then in the dark room, he was trying to tie it with the thread. Then Shamu told his friend Bhola, "If you don't tell anybody, I want to reveal something." And his friend said, "Yes, I will not tell anybody." Then Shamu, this little boy, he opened his heart. He said, "Look, this kite I am going to send to God, and my mother will hold it and slowly will come down with this kite and the thread. I don't know how to write, otherwise I would have written my mother's name on it." Now the Bhola, his friend, was more intelligent. He said, "You have really good idea, but there is a difficulty. This small thread, this thread is very thin, and your mother cannot hold it because it will break. So if there is a strong rope, then she can hold it and come down." Now the Shamu little boy was little serious. That means my mother cannot come down unless we have strong rope. I don't have money. And those people who have cremated my mother, they are not going to give me any money for this work. So that night he couldn't sleep. The next day, when his father went to his work, he again took the chair, stood up on that, climbing, and then he took 1 rupee coin from his father's pocket, father's shirt's pocket. Then he gave this money to his friend and told, let it be secret. Get 2 big and strong thick ropes, because 1 rope may not be enough. And I will ask another, my elder cousin, to write my mother's name on a piece of paper, and we can paste this piece of paper on the kite. 2 hours later, Shamu and Bhola, both boys, they were in the dark room and they were tying this kite with strong ropes. And all of a sudden, his father came inside the room and he threatened both the boys, telling, you have stolen a rupee from my shirt. So Bhola, he got scared and he said, Shamu, your son has given me this 1 rupee to bring kite and some rope. So his father gave 2 slaps to Shamu and told, you are stealing, you will go to jail, you will be imprisoned. Again he gave 2 slaps, and then his father tore off this kite. Then he looked at these strong ropes and asked, who has brought these? Then his friend Bhola told, Shamu had asked to bring these 2 ropes. And he said that holding these ropes, his mother would come down from the abode of God. Can you imagine the condition of the father, the emotion of this little boy, and what he did? So his father was just standing there. Then he lifted this torn kite and he saw there was a slip, there was a piece of paper pasted on that, and his wife's name was written, Kaki. Death impacts everybody, but for little boys, for little children, death can be a turning point in their life. If you remember in Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yoganandaji lost his mother and he was very much disturbed. It has created a deep impression of a loss in his mind. So he was praying to Divine Mother. Similarly, there's another realized master. His name is Nigamananda Paramahansa, Nigamananda Saraswati. He also lost his wife at young age. And when he was working in the office, his wife left her body in a distant place, like more than 500 miles away. But the moment she left her body, she appeared, her soul appeared near the Nigamanandaji where he was working. He couldn't believe that how could his wife come at this hour from 500 miles away. And then she disappeared. But this, and later after few hours he got the news that his wife had left the body. But this death of his wife created a desire in him to know this truth. What is death? What happens to people? Where do they go? And then he became completely spiritual and he followed path of yoga, although with the desire to see his wife as Divine Mother. But death can bring a complete change in one's life. Remember, death is like sleep, a long sleep where we sleep here and we wake up in some other plane. After the sleep, we feel fresh, peaceful and energetic. So also after death, we get a new body and we are completely fresh, new body, new environment, new family. So we are happy. I remember in July 2018, I was staying in a disciple's house in Colombia for Kriya program. And next day, after finishing program, 59 years old daughter of the the house where I was staying, she died in sleep. The cry and grief of mother was very painful to see. Lord Buddha saw a sick person, an old person, a dead person. And what happened? He contemplated on truth of life. He was disturbed in the beginning and he wanted to know this secret. What is life and what is death? So he contemplated on truth and he attained enlightenment. Every day we also see many deaths. Many people who are in our friend circle, family or known people, they are leaving body, they are departing. But do we get that attachment and think of truth of life like Buddha? If you read the scripture Mahabharata, there is an episode where the Pandavas, 5 righteous brothers, were sent to exile. During the exile period of these Pandavas, 5 brothers, the eldest one, whose name is Yudhishthira, he had a dialogue with a celestial, and this dialogue is known as Yaksha Prashna. All the 4 brothers and his wife Draupadi, they went in search of water, and a celestial was there near the lake who was asking them some question, and if they could not reply, so they were dead. Finally, Yudhishthira went in search of all his brothers and wife, and he found them all dead. And there, when he wanted to take water, the Yaksha or celestial, he spoke. And there was a dialogue. So during the dialogue, the celestial was none but Dharmaraja or Lord of Morality, who asked many intellectual questions, and Yudhishthira replied him one by one. And in turn, Yudhishthira was successful to bring his dead brothers back to life. Also his wife. One of the questions the celestial had asked was, what is the most wonderful thing within this world? Have you ever thought about it? Ever? What is the most wonderful thing within this world? And Yudhishthira answered. So the answer is here. Yudhishthira said, Ahani Ahani Bhutani. So unfortunately today some technical problem. I cannot share the slides. So Yudhishthira said, Ahani Ahani Bhutani Gachanti Iha Yamalayam Shesha Sthavaram Icchanti Kim Asharyam Atapara. It is in the Vana Parva of Mahabharata, chapter 313, verse number 116. Meaning is, day after day, countless creatures are going to the abode of death, Yama, yet those who remain behind, they believe themselves to be immortal. What can be more wonderful than this? Just imagine. We hear about death. We see deaths around us. But we think that other people are going to die, but we are not going to die anytime, which is not true. We all have to live one day. In the Hindu scriptures, there is Lord of Death, whose name is Yama. And Yama has a secretary named Chitragupta. And it is believed that after death, each soul is taken by the attendants of Yama to his abode for judgment based on his actions during the present lifetime. And then soul is sent to heaven or hell before it is born again to exhaust a new set of karma. In Yoga Sutra, there is mention of 5 yamas. Means yama here also principles or observances related to dealing with others in society. So 5 yamas. So remember, those who follow or practice these 5 yamas in Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, then Yama, the Lord of Death, does not bother them. So be disciplined and you will not be afraid of death. There is interesting story about the Lord of Death. One day, Lord of Death Yama, he came to his office. He sat down on the throne to give the judgment. And he saw a chained elephant brought to the abode of death. And he asked the elephant, "How come you are so strong and still you are chained?" Elephant replied, "Because the man, human being, is very clever and strong, and he had chained me. Although I am strong, but still, human being is very intelligent and he can control everybody." Yama said, "Every day so many human beings are dying and come here. What is special in that? I see them." The elephant said, "Lord, you are dealing with dead people. You have not seen a live human being." Then Yama ordered his attendants to bring a live person from the earth. When attendants were searching on the earth, because if they tell somebody that come with us to go to Lord of Death or Yamapuri, Yamaloka, nobody will go because it means death. So when they were searching, they found one man. He belonged to Kayastha community. Kayastha community, they are known as accountants. They were very clever, very intelligent people to keep the account books. So Chitragupta is a Kayastha who keeps the account book of everybody, and then he gives the account to Lord of Death. So they found one man who was a Kayastha. This man was sleeping on a cot on the rooftop of his house, because in India during summer time we sleep in the open area. Nowadays it is gone, but we used to sleep in the open area on the rooftop or sometimes in the garden. So when attendants saw this Kayastha, they were happy that he is sleeping, let him take. So they carried him along with his bed to Yamaloka. Yamaloka is the abode of Yama. On the way, Kayastha suddenly got up and he looked around and he could recognize these attendants of death because they are ferocious. These 4 attendants, they were carrying him. Immediately he could sense the danger ahead. So he was very intelligent. He took out a small piece of paper from his pocket, scribbled a note. "Dear Yama, I am sending this person to you. Please hand over your throne and charge to him with immediate effect." And below he signed as Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu. Then kept the paper back in his pocket and slept calmly. Now upon reaching the Yamaloka, before the attendants could say anything to Yama, this Kayastha immediately handed over this piece of paper to Yama. And Yama looked at this message with signature of Lord Narayana. So Yama asked him to come and sit down on the throne. And Yama sat on the floor below. And with folded hands said, "Okay, whatever you command, I will serve you." Now, being the ruler of the kingdom of death, Kayastha started giving judgment for the people who are brought after death. A man was presented who had caused many children's death with adulterated milk, and Kayastha sent him to heaven. Another woman was brought after death, and her karma was not good. She was charged for stealing, but Kayastha said, "Send her to heaven." In this way, whoever was coming for judgment, Kayastha was sending all of them to heaven. When all the sinners were sent to heaven, every day they were increasing in number. Lord Vishnu wondered what was happening. If God has incarnated on the earth, that so many people are getting liberation and coming to heaven, So Lord Vishnu sent his own attendants to inquire what was happening and from where these people were coming. So attendants left for search and they found the truth. Then they reported back to Lord Vishnu about what Kayastha was doing in his judgment. So Lord Vishnu came to Yamaloka and he saw the Kayastha was sitting on the throne and this Lord of Death, who was the ruler, he was sitting down and he was obeying the command like a servant. He got surprised and he asked Lord Yama, how come you are sitting here and who is this man sitting on the throne giving judgment? Yama replied, Lord, he is the one sent by you to rule here, and according to your message and instructions, it was your order. So I gave him my duty and charge. And Lord Narayan got confused. He said that he had never sent anyone to replace Yama. Then Yama showed him the message with signature of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, he saw the signature. It was forgery, but it was exactly like Lord Vishnu's signature. Then he had a dialogue with this Kayastha sitting on the throne. He said, why are you? Who are you? He said that I am a Kayastha. Why are you sending all these sinners to heaven? Because they don't belong to be there. And Kayastha said that I am not sending anyone to heaven. You are sending them. And Lord said, how come? I have not come here. I have not sent them. Then Kayastha said, Lord, in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th verse, you have said, Sarvasya chaham hradi sannivishto. I am his Lord is residing in the heart of everybody. So also you are residing in my heart. And my heart is telling to send these people to heaven. So that means you are sending them to heaven. Is it true or not? Lord was silent. Then he said that Lord told, okay, can you call them back because they don't belong to heaven? Can you call them back to this place in the hell? And Kayastha said, no, I cannot. Either you have to remove this verse from Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is the word of Lord. It cannot be changed. So either you remove that verse or you have to accept whatever is done. And now Lord Vishnu cannot say because I cannot remove because I can't say that I have told lie. So he said, okay, let them be there. But the question, again he said, question is, you send them to heaven, that's fine, let it be. But you can go back to earth. We don't need you here. You should go back. And he said, I cannot go back because in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 6th verse, you have said, Yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. One who has come to my abode, he cannot go back. Means there is no rebirth. So once I have come here and I have seen you, I cannot be sent back to earth. So I have to remain here. Lord was really puzzled what to do with this man. Then he said that whatever is happened. You can let the people come back here. He said, no, we cannot. I cannot because in Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter 16th verse you have written or you have said, Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. So those who have already gone to your abode, they cannot be reborn because they are liberated. So they cannot be brought back even. So either you should remove these verses from Bhagavad Gita or you accept that you are speaking lie. It's a very difficult situation. Both cannot be done. However, so Lord said, I cannot convince you or I cannot argue with you, but I have a request. Whatever has happened, you go back. He said that I am liberated, I cannot go back. Then Lord said, what can I do for you? He said, please liberate this elephant also who is sitting here. Because of this elephant, I was brought here, and because of that, all the people got liberation because they were sent to heaven. And once they go to your abode, they are liberated, not to be reborn. However, the moral of the story is, in life, if you get a little opportunity to do something good for others, don't miss it. Like Kayastha, we don't know what kind of karma he did, but when he got the opportunity, he started doing good sitting on the throne. However, so we are talking about the death, Lord of Death. So let us try to understand what death is. Death is for physical body, not for the soul, because the soul is immortal. After death, physical body is cremated or buried into the ground, but soul along with the mind, memory, astral and causal body is transmigrated to another plane of existence. If you read Bhagavad Gita in 2nd chapter, 22nd verse, there is a beautiful comparison or analogy which tells that we give up the body like discarding the old clothes for the new ones. If someone gave you new clothes, would you not be happy? You will be. Like as children, we used to get a new pair of clothes and we were very happy. You would probably thank the person who is giving a new pair of clothes, and you go and try them on to see how they fit. So if death is like changing old clothes for the new ones, why should we be afraid of discarding the old body for a new one? If you contemplate on this truth, you'll see that this is just part of life. In the verse in 2nd chapter, 22nd verse, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grandhani naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Meaning is, just as a man puts on new garments, leaving old ones, similarly the embodied soul takes on new physical bodies, giving up old useless bodies. This body is the cloth for the soul. And when the clothes become old, we change them. You may then ask, why children die when their body is still new and young? Sometimes you purchase new clothes that are not long lasting. It means you bought old or damaged stock thinking it was new. Similarly, when the soul comes to a new body, it comes to exhaust some karma, and when that karma or set of karma of the past is exhausted, the soul leaves. Even the soul from the young body leaves because the bond of action or this prarabdha karma is finished. If we change the clothes, we are not sad. Do you become sad when you change the clothes? No. So, we should not have sadness if one is going to die. It is just a transition. In the Holy Bible, Gospel of Matthew, 10th chapter, passage number 28. It is said, do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Again, in the Holy Bible, there is a beautiful passage in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, passage number 55. O death, where is your sting? If you read Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, there is beautiful description about this transition as well as the soul. soul is immortal. In this 19th verse of 2nd chapter Bhagavad Gita, Lord is telling, Ya enam vetti hantaram yash chainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. Means nobody can kill and nobody is being killed. Soul is immortal. In the 21st verse of the same 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord is telling, Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam katham sah purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. O Partha, O Arjuna, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Again in 30th verse, Lord is further telling, Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natum shochitum arhasi. O Arjuna, descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain or killed. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. There is a beautiful Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. In Katha Upanishad, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 18th verse, it says, न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चित नायम कुतश्चित न बभूव कश्चित अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोयम पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. And the similar verse you will find in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 20th verse. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित न अयम भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजः नित्यः शाश्वतः अयम पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. The intelligent self is neither born nor does it die. There is no death, there is no birth. It did not originate from anything, nor did anything originate from it. It is birthless, means soul is birthless, eternal, undecaying and ancient. It is not injured even when body is killed. So in this verse, Aja means unborn. Aja means also Brahman, God the Absolute. Aja means paddy, rice paddy, or male goat. However, Chandogya Upanishad gives more detail about this journey of death. In the 6th canto, 11th chapter, 3rd mantra, Jivapetam Vavakiledam Mriyate na jivo mriyata itisa. Being left by the living self, this body surely dies, but the living self does not die. So soul is immortal. Remember, birth is the process of production of an effect from a cause. Why you are born? There is some cause. So birth is just the effect of that cause, and that cause is our previous karmas, prarabdha karma, destiny. And hence, it is the process of transient becoming. For the same reason, death also is a process. So the processes of birth, life and death are impermanent, and therefore they are denied in soul. These processes of birth, life, death, all are related to the body, not with the soul. Soul is immortal, eternal, unborn. Ceaseless consciousness is free from all changes. And change is the character of illusory presentations. Changelessness is the nature of the soul, and the soul does not come from anywhere and it does not become anything else. Because coming and becoming are again transient processes. It has not ceased to be itself, it does not decay or suffer. It is the most ancient, ajanma, and the newest of all. An object becomes new when its constituents are changed and set in a different condition. The soul exists even prior to and later than the newest of the objects. It exists together with everything, and also it exists after everything. Nothing newer and other than the soul can ever be produced. In other words, the soul is whatever is. It was, it will be, hence it is indestructible. If you read the book, Guruji has written a beautiful book on death. Its name is Dancing with Death. And Guruji has given two perspectives of death. One is negative approach to death, one is positive approach to death. So let me just explain that. Death, there are few letters, D, E, A, T, H. So with each letter, there is some meaning. D. If we take as a negative approach, what is death? D represents your disease, depression, difficulties. E stands for ego, emotion, envy. A stands for ambition, arrogance, anger. T stands for thirst or desire, temptation, tension. And H represents hatred, hurry, hopelessness. This is the negative approach to death. And what is positive approach? Positive approach, again the same letters. D stands for discipline, determination. E stands for encouragement, enthusiasm. A stands for attitude or amicable nature. T stands for trust, try, transformation. And H stands for humility, honesty. This is the positive approach. So if we look at the death in a positive perspective, let our life be disciplined, let our attitude be positive, let us trust in God, be humble, be honest, and encourage others to live a good life. Helen Keller has given a beautiful quote about it. Death is no more than passing from one room into another. Such a beautiful quote by Helen Keller. Death is no more than passing from one room into another room. But there is a difference for me, you know, because in that other room I shall be able to see. There is a difference for me, you know, because in that other room I shall be able to see. However, so death is just like we are in one room and then we enter into the another room. This is what is death. However, death is not so painful only because of attachment to the body, attachment to the world, attachment to the relations and so-called impermanent things of the world. We feel pain, but death as it is just like a long sleep. And sleep gives you peace, calmness, transformation, rejuvenation. So also death is like a renewal. Death is not painful, and we are going to discuss more about this process before, during, after death, what happens in our next class. Today, let us just think that death is nothing, it is just a transition, it's part of life, like changing the old clothes, getting the new clothes. So let's not be sad about it. Let us be prepared for that. Trusting God, because soul is immortal.